If you find yourself feeling confused about the movements of joints like flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, this video will explain it in a simple way so you never will feel confused again. First, we'll go over the terms, then we'll go over movements related to the shoulder, the forearm, and the foot. So flexion and extension always go together. They both work along the same plane. So this is an example of flexion and extension. This person is facing forward, and the movements of flexion and extension are always forward and backwards. Forward and backwards. That's the plane. It doesn't change. The difference between flexion and extension is flexion reduces the joint angle. So if you envision yourself doing a bicep curl, you're decreasing the angle. And when you're extending your arm, you're increasing the angle. So if a movement is working forward or backwards, and you're decreasing the angle of the joint, it is always flexion. If a movement is going backwards and forwards and it's increasing the angle of the joint, it's extension. Adduction works sideways, so from left to right. When you abduct something, like an alien abduction, you're taking something away. So abduction is when you're moving along this plane that's sideways, when you're moving along this plane and you're taking something away, farther away, that's abduction. When you think of adduction, you think of addition. You're adding something. So you're moving something towards you. So along this plane, if you're moving it away, it's abduction. If you're moving it towards you, it's adduction. Now, the exception for both of these is the thumb. If the thumb works on a different plane, it works on the opposing plane. So if you want to adduct or abduct the thumb, the thumb is moving forward or backwards on that plane. And if you want to flex or extend your thumb, you have to move the thumb sideways. So the laws of flexion, extension, abduction, and adduction switch when it comes to the thumb, but other than that, they're the same. Internal rotation is pretty self-explanatory. You're rotating towards the middle of your body, and external rotation is rotating away from the middle of your body. So this is flexion and extension once again. It's the photo. And then abduction and adduction, here's the photo again. Shoulders, you protract and you retract your shoulders. That's one way joint movements occur. Protraction, think of a head, the suffix, so it glides anteriorly. Retraction, you're going back, you're retracting, your scapula glides posteriorly. Forearm pronation, the palm is facing down or posteriorly. So when you think of the word prone, I like to think that it rhymes with loan. And usually when you get a really big loan, you feel down because it's a huge loan. So think of palm facing down. You're just face down, because prone and loan rhyme. That's how I just remember it. I never forget it because of that. For supination, think of a bowl of soup. The bowl is never going to face downwards because it has soup. The bowl always face up. So supination, palm is facing forward. Pronation, palm is facing down. Okay, foot. Dorsiflexion. So we have the top of the foot is the dorsal part of the foot, because the bottom of the foot is the plantar part of the foot. So when you have dorsiflexion, think of flexing the dorsal side of the foot. So you're flexing the dorsal side of the foot in dorsiflexion. So that's your toes are going up and your heel is staying down. In plantar flexion, you're flexing the plantar side of your foot. So you're flexing the plantar side, so then you have your toes going down. So you're on your tippy toes. And then inversion is you're rotating the inner side of the medial side of your foot. Eversion is you're rotating the outer side. So when you rotate the inner side of your foot, the inner side goes up. And the outer side is what touches the ground. When you evert, the outer side is rotating. So the outer side goes up. So whatever is rotating is what goes up in inversion and eversion. This is just a bigger picture of the previous slide. This is also a bigger picture of the previous slide. Now we will review what we learned. So I will read out loud the concept that's written. And it's advised that you pause the video at that point and say the answer out loud, and then you can check the answer by unpausing. Flexion and extension direction, forward and backwards. Moving hand away along the frontal plane. So the frontal plane, if you watch the plane and axis video, the frontal plane splits the body up into the front and the back, so anteriorly and posteriorly. So you're splitting the body up in half. So imagine splitting the body in half, and one half is the half with your face and the other half is the half with the back of your head. So if you move your hand away, so that the frontal plane is basically moving sideways. So if you move your hand away sideways, then that is abduction. Foot on heel, is it dorsiflexion or plantar flexion? So the foot on the heels, you're flexing the dorsal part of your foot, so that is dorsiflexion. Lying face down, that is pronation. Foot is rotated so that lateral portion is touching the ground. That means that the inner portion is what's moving upwards. That means the inner portion is rotating, so you're having inner rotation of the foot, or inversion of the foot. And we have gone over everything. I hope this was helpful to you. Have a great day.